Welcome to Current Issues with Dr. Kirk Meighoo. This is the Memo for the 22nd of May, 2018. The Enigma of Basdeo Panday. Basdeo Panday was prominent in supporting a meeting led by his daughter Mikela this Sunday, after being out of electoral politics for 8 years. Contrary to the expectations of many detractors, Sunday's meeting had a good turnout, with a mixture of young people, experienced politicians, and longtime Panday supporters. Indeed, the call for a new political party was boldly made, and the possibility is very strong that one will be formed.
You think we should form a political party? That's what I'm waiting for. Let's tell me 2 days now. Thank you. Thank you. Do you think we should form a political party? That's what we want to know. So stand up and tell me whether we should form a party. That's what we want to do. Form the party or not. Form it. Come and tell me what the party. Start it.
This is one of the greatest fears of the Opposition UNC, since a split in the opposition vote has historically allowed the PNM to win government, even when it has the support of less than a majority of voters, for example, in 1991, 2001, and 2007. So what is Mr. Panday's interest in this development? Is he a puppet master pulling the strings behind this new movement, as so many believe? Is he using Mikela to get back into power? Is Mr. Panday trying to create a dynastic succession in our local politics? Is he motivated by spite and hatred, as many of his detractors claim? Or is Mr. Panday, as he claims, merely supporting young people who are fed up of the political decline and social malady? Clearly, this meeting indicated that there is a Panday constituency out there that is not satisfied with the PNM or the UNC and are willing to come to listen to Mikela. We don't know if they'll vote for Mikela as yet. They probably don't know as yet. I have always argued that new politics means not new parties, but a new way of organizing political groups with different ideologies and interests. This Panday constituency deserves a place in our politics, and it will be up to the political process, the official opposition, the general public, and the voters to ultimately determine what that place will be. But what are Mr. Panday's view on this? What is he trying to achieve? What is his vision? What is his motivation? How does this fit in with his political history and legacy? We are privileged to have Mr. Panday here with us on the program tonight. Mr. Panday, however, was not able to join us in studio, so we recorded our interview at his office earlier today.
Welcome to Passage to Asia, the award-winning restaurant and banquet suite located in the heart of Chaguanas. It's the best fusion food restaurant in Trinidad and Tobago. So come and dine in luxury and enjoy the finest combination of Asian foods from highly trained and qualified chefs, preparing a variety of mouth-watering dishes and desserts on a daily basis.
Welcome. We're here at the Rienzi Complex speaking to Mr. Panday, and I want to thank you for being here, Mr. Panday. I know this is the first interview you've given after Sunday's meeting.
My pleasure.
One of the things I want to start off by asking is that your political history is most of it, I would say, is based on the idea of removing the PNM at any cost. I think this is what is behind your infamous statements of politics has a morality of its own, or that you would sleep with the devil. Because the removal of the PNM drove you for decades as the leader of whatever political entity you were in. Has that goal changed?
No, it has always been secondary, not primary. That is to say, my objective in entering into politics, as you would recall, was what the Workers' and Farmers' Party, and it was really to improve the quality of life of people. That has been my objective in entering into politics. Now, moving the PNM was part of that. In order to improve the life of the people, one would have had to move the PNM, which was there for 30 consecutive years, I think it was.
Your critics, and the critics of the whole initiative of starting this party would point rightly to history, that whenever a third force comes into play, whether it would have been the COP or the ONR, let's see what other those are the two ones that really had the biggest impact on the election, have allowed the PNM to, and even in 1991 when the NAR and the UNC were vying in Trinidad, it allowed the PNM to come into power with a minority of votes. So in terms of people looking strategically at elections who are criticizing you, they have a point. What do you say to that? Because they're saying this initiative is handing power to PNM on a silver platter. That's what they...
Okay, first of all, I think the whole political scenario has changed over the years, and that is that for years there have been two racially based monolithic blocks, these two parties, and it was a case of musical chairs, 2-foot musical chair actually, 2-foot musical chairs in the House. I think the population has changed. I think now that the greater majority of people in this country want change. That the two political parties are there and they have their following, of course, but the majority of people, those who stand between them, the majority of young people in particular, who have never been satisfied with the way things are going, I think those people are in the majority, and consequently I think the political scenario is going to be different.
Well, I guess this would lead me to another question then. In terms of the UNC being a party that you founded out of...
No, the UNC. This UNC is not the party I founded.
This is what I want.
It only has the name.
Expand on that, but that's what I want to ask.
But then first of all, having taken over the party, they've abandoned all the things the UNC stood for. The first being, as I recall, that agricultural land will not be used for housing.
Right.
And once they got into office, that was one of the first things they did with the farm of a guy who was named Pineapple or what, I forgot his name, but it was a pineapple farm. Yes. They went ahead with a PNM program of bulldozing that farm and putting houses. So they abandoned that.
Right.
That was abandoned. And that was just one of the basic principles I think they abandoned.
Right.
I think they've abandoned the principle of free and fair elections in the party as well, because I believe, and that I still believe, that they are all rigged.
Right.
So they've abandoned most of the principles that the founders of the party, Club 88,
yes,
stood for.
Now, the charge of rigging obviously is a very serious charge, and I mean, I don't know. Do you have evidence of that? I mean, could you...
Evidence of what?
Of the rigging, because
forget it. Yeah. It's past. It's there. We go forward.
Because what people are saying as well, and what people have been saying a long time, I'm sure you would have heard this, is that you miss the power. You are spiteful because you lost the last election. You have this hatred, and so you are making these unjustified allegations about rigging when you actually really lost, and that you want to undermine the party, and that it is that you have, in a sense, lost your rationality and will do anything, even if it involves undermining the UNC and putting the PNM in power just to satisfy your hurt and to get revenge. How do you address that?
I can't. They're afraid to think.
Right.
That's their impression. It's like the wind. When the wind is blowing, you can't prevent it from blowing, but you can put up a wall to prevent it from knocking you down. So people are free to express these views, and I expect that people who do not want change will make these allegations. Sure, let them make it. It will be a matter for the public to decide whether they want to go forward or whether they want to stay with that kind of thinking.
Right, yes. I suppose the real philosophical difference here is seeing change as removing the PNM or not, or something more or different, because people who see the change and the first object for change as the removal of the PNM will have this criticism about a new venture. And then on the other hand, the thing could be that this is starting something new to change the whole system.
It has nothing to do with the PNM and the so-called UNC and so on. I am convinced that the political system under which we operate fosters and supports the racial division of our society, which is actually dividing our most powerful resource, or human resource, in developing the country. And we've got to get rid of that. And to get rid of that, you have to get rid of you have to change the political system. And I've been advocating for constitutional reform. Now, constitutional reform can take place, and has taken place, in two ways. Peacefully, through the existing political system that is in Parliament, or by violence. Now, I hope that it will be done in Trinidad peacefully, and therefore it means getting into Parliament and using Parliament to change the political system. It has nothing to do with the PNM and UNC and that sort of thing, nothing to do with that.
Yeah. I want to address another criticism again. I'd like you to address it, because these things are said all the time, and it needs to be put on the table. So, of course, the issue of corruption. People say that you and the Panday clan are corrupt. You've admitted to taking money from Lawrence to pray, and that you have no moral authority to lead anything. This is...
The issue of that issue was decided in court. Mm-hmm. The evidence was in court. It was that an education grant was given, to which he gave to Mr. Manning. Mm-hmm. And which he also with the Makanda Dara signal and so on. And therefore it was an education grant, and one of the conditions was that he would demand that they work for the company after they had graduated. So that was it. People could, but it was there in court, it's there. Let them say what they want about what you want. You want me to get involved in that sort of thing? The point is, my detractors, and the detractors of anybody who wants change, including this group of young people, what that has to do with me? These are a group of young people. I could have been a crook and a bird who ran with the children. What that has to do with this group of young people who want to go forward? You see, detractors. You have detractors, and you can't prevent the wind from blowing. Even evil wind.
In terms of that, these are young people going forward, and you have decided to support them. That's the way I understand it. How do you see your role in this? Because people see you as the puppet master behind this, that this is a way for you to get back in control, that your daughter is being used as a puppet, and that it is really part of an elaborate.
You want me to answer that?
Please.
How? Mm-hmm. How do I tell you what people are saying? That's their business, that's their thought.
Right.
Ask me what is mine.
Right. But yes, what is your vision?
And you ask me what's my role.
Yeah, what is your vision and role?
Right now it is, I would hope that it would be as the advisor. But they will have to ask for it, ask for my advice, and if they ask for it, I'll give it to them. I have realized over the years that unsolicited advice is hardly ever taken. So if they ask for it, I'll give it to them. And that that's the way I hope to support them.
To get back to the whole issue of the spoiler issue, would you say that your assessment of the COP's role in 2007 in allowing Patrick Manning's PNM to get in with a minority of votes, would you say that that is applicable in this situation to any new party that you form that might take away votes?
As I say, the political scenario has changed. Even the age structure of the society has changed. There are now younger people who are alienated and so on. And both parties have their supporters. I believe that those in the middle are in the majority. And therefore the political situation is different.
I mean, you've had a very interesting history in the politics of this country, where your political formations, starting with the Workers' and Farmers' Party, were opposed to the two major parties. And it's been a sort of stepwise process, whereas, the Workers' and Farmers' Party did not take off as a party, but it eventually kind of morphed into the ULF through Black Power, I suppose, and you're taking over. And the ULF displaced the DLP, which then became the NAR and eventually took government. And in the same way, when Club 88 was formed, it displaced the PNM and then displaced the NAR and then eventually took government. So is this a type of long-term sort of political change?
It is said that the only constant is change. And things are changing, and the political scenario is changing. And what occurred in the past may not necessarily happen in the future, because the political scenario has changed. Had it remained the same, it's only then you could argue in terms of what has happened. I think you probably change the scenario and argue in terms of what can happen given the new scenario, where people are fed up with both the opposition and the government, and they are in the majority.
Yes, I agree. I do believe that most people are fed up of the two main parties and would like to see something different. And the problem is the trust that they would place in the new alternative, and that's always the challenge. But I want to, this is something I've thought about a lot in terms of, new parties and new politics and this sort of thing, and being part of it. But there's also a surprising continuity throughout our political history, which goes beyond the idea that there are two main races. And let's say in the Trinidad situation, it appears to me that what we saw in, let's say, 1981, where you had the ONR, the UNC, the ULF, and the PNM. They represent sort of three major constituencies in Trinidad, right? Not everything, but three powerful poles, let's say. And they were fighting it out in 1981. By the time of the breakup of the NAR, it was almost the same forces again, where the ULF was kind of Club 88 and the ONR was basically the NAR, and the PNM remained the PNM. 2007, it was a bit of the same sort of thing, with the COP kind of taking the ONR role. And now it may be that the UNC has taken the ONR role. The PNM remains PNM, and this movement might be like a Club 88, or almost like the old ULF forces in a new guise. So there appears to be these three forces in Trinidad, because we haven't talked about Tobago yet, because the Tobago dynamic is different, and it always enters in with the GAC and the NAR and the PNM and then other forces as well. So this is much more complicated than a simple two-party system we have in Trinidad, although it coalesces sometimes within two parties, but there are these underlying forces. And with John Humphrey and yourself and some of the older people there, do you see this as a continuation of those forces that go right back to the Workers' and Farmers' Party, and that this is some long historical...
I believe that all present is influenced by the past. And therefore there are elements of things that occur that would have influenced the way things have gone forward. And therefore the fact that this group of young people have decided to come forward is because they feel alienated. And they feel that they can find a way forward for all those people who want change, and there are more than the people who do not want change. This is my view, and it is their view. We shall see whether they are right or wrong.
Well, as you know, there are heated debates and exchanges about this. This is not going to end now. And as it moves on, we will see how it goes. But I think that what this is showing is that there is a Panday constituency. I think we can call it a Panday constituency.
Right.
Why I would call it that is because both you and your daughter are leading it, and you represent something historically.
So that constituency, not Panday, the historic circumstances that have led to where these young people are today.
Yeah.
They are totally ignorant, you know. The young people are totally ignorant. They have no part in the political decision-making process. They've been totally alienated from the political system. That is what has led to what is happening. But they are encouraged by the fact that things have changed. People's thinking has changed. And the people, a larger section of the population now want change. It is said that people don't vote for parties. They vote against parties. They don't vote for the government, they vote against the government. And we have seen that happen. And that is the feeling in the country. They are against both the government and the opposition. You read the papers, you listen to the radio, people are complaining about both. Therefore it has to be that they are in the majority. And if this group can lead that group, they can lead it to political victory. And it is the only way they are going to get constitutional reform, which is the key. Neither the ruling party nor the opposition wants constitutional reform. One has said it is a dagger aimed at the heart of the PNM. And the other has had an opportunity to have constitutional reform and knocked it up. For example, in the history of our country, only 3 governments, persons, parties, which have had the power to change the constitution and have constitutional reform. It was Dr. Eric Williams, A.N.R. Robinson, and Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
Correct. Yeah.
And therefore, if constitutional reform is necessary, a group of people who believe in it must get into Parliament. And that is what I think the young people are struggling for.
Thank you again, Mr. Panday. I appreciate it very much. It's been an enlightening discussion, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
To Asia, the experience is truly unforgettable. That's perfect for couples, families, and larger groups. Our fully decorated chandelier hall accommodates groups of 300 plus with lower and upper decks. Convenient for weddings, conferences, charity dinners, and fun time with friends. Passage to Asia brand resonates with the corporate world and private events around Trinidad. Passage to Asia, St. Eves Street, Chaguanas.
Inviting you to join us on our program From Darkness to Light. Every weekday at 11 a.m. we will discuss current affairs, share news from around the world impacting on our diaspora, highlight community events, showcase Bollywood songs, present an uplifting inspirational segment, and much, much more. We would also have experts in various disciplines sharing with us their thoughts and expertise. In our call-in segments, we encourage you to share your thoughts and opinions on major issues affecting you. Join us every weekday from 11 a.m. right here on ieTV, where we educate, enrich, and entertain from darkness to light every weekday at 11 a.m.
Now we come to the SMH, Scratching My Head segment, where we look at some of the more confusing, puzzling, and nonsensical events in our country. This week's SMH is Comical Calm. During the mid-year budget review, Finance Minister Colin Imbert took shots at 5 of the country's leading economists. After attacking and insulting them individually in Parliament, he really is a nasty person, there's no getting around that. He summarized.
One get money from the UNC. One was a UNC MP. One worked against the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago with the CL shareholders to try and deprive the country of that $23 billion. And one is trying to peddle cryptocurrency in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm sorry, I must listen to that.
If, as the minister claims, this disqualifies these economists from even being heard, where does that leave Minister Imbert? He's a PNM MP. He has been ordered by the High Court to pay contractor Emil Elias a reported $55 million, and has surely found himself on the opposite side of the government when he was in opposition. So by Imbert's own logic, as a member of a political party, he should not be listened to by any other side, because he is not unbiased, neutral, or dispassionate. Hasn't Imbert then disqualified himself then? Or, in his words, we must listen to him? There are some things that should be above zero-sum, I win, you lose politics. Or better yet, whicher politics should guide you in seeking to achieve national welfare. The economy is definitely one of those areas. It should always be win-win. About Minister Imbert, I'm still scratching my head. Well, that's it for current issues this week. Thanks for joining us. Reach out to us on Facebook where we can continue the discussion. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we will discuss the issue of ethnic cleansing. Is it happening? Thanks.